Howdy, I'm Manjot Jawa with Way Too Indie. I'm here with Adin Walls. He's live from South Africa. Now, I want you to believe this. This is the power of the internet, and it's amazing because I get to talk to people from all across the world, and these are great musicians. So, Adin, thank you for joining us. It's
Thank
a great
you.
pleasure to have you here. Can you go ahead and please introduce yourself a little bit and tell us how you're doing?
Cool. Well, my name is Adin Walls. I live in a little town called George in South Africa. I'm a songwriter, singer-songwriter. I play gigs here, and yeah, I market myself mostly online because of my sort of remoteness around the world. And I have a recent album that's on CD and on iTunes that the guys can check out, and I have a website. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. So, in talking about your latest CD that you have out and your album, what was it like working with that? And actually, let's back up here. Before we get to your album, where did you get your start in music? How did you get inspired to write music and start writing music? Was it something you did from an early age, or?
Yeah. Well, I come from a musical family. I actually found out this week that almost everyone on my dad's side of the family sings. So I come from a musical family. I played violin as a little boy, and then picked up guitar at 16 and just went from like once I picked up a guitar, it was like madness from there. So I've always been a songwriter. I mean, I remember picking up a violin and trying to write songs on the violin, which kind of didn't work. But singing songs to a violin. So yeah, that's always been me. And my dad was a tenor. My mom sang in a choir. With my sister and I used to sing songs, washing dishes. So yeah, it's always been in me and in us as a family.
Awesome. So, do you play many instruments?
Um, I seem to have lost visual there, but can you still hear me?
Yes, I can. It's just
Okay.
it loses out sometimes, so we're all good.
Um, I sorry, what was the question again?
Do you play many instruments?
I play guitar. I don't. I think my main sort of skill is singing and songwriting. So no, I don't really. I play a little bit of violin, but I would consider myself a novice in that area.
Awesome. So about now, let's go to your album that was it's on iTunes and it's also available
Yeah.
online somewhere. What was the inspiration for that album, and what was it like the process of making that album for you?
Yeah, the album was like a watershed time for me as a person. I kind of been dabbling around in all sorts of things, and then we went through some pretty serious hardships as a family. My dad died, and then 2 years later, my sister, my wife's dad died as well. And through all of that, somehow it just kind of sprung up in me, and I just started writing songs. I happened to get my studio gear at that time, and it all just happened. I recorded it, it all came together, and there was an album at the end of it. So yeah, it came out of pretty difficult things that happened. And yeah, I think now as I move on, the songs are going to get sort of more mature and more developed. Also, as I improve as a home recording artist as well.
Gotcha. So, like you said, as being, recording at your home and you're in a remote location, how is that interesting to you? Like, how does that work for you? What are the hardships that you have to go through to, put your music out there, get known, and just recording in general? Because it must be hard doing it from home. And I know there's artists that do it from home as well, but, and then it sounds great, just like yours does. It sounds great, but there's got to be some issues that come up. What are some of the hardships that you have to face when you're recording music and writing music at home?
Oh, there's plenty of challenges. I mean, from the start, recording at home, you're going to have quality issues. You're going to come up against certain things where you realize I just can't do it like the big guys. But at the same time, you can often produce some stuff that sounds epic. So there's that. But then there's also the networking issues. Like in South Africa, there are guys that have made a career of music, but it's not sort of the level at which the guys are doing in the States and Europe. And that. So for me, I don't think I want to become a touring artist. So for me, the main thing is online, to punt myself online and network online. And that is difficult. It's really hard. But the more you do it and the more you connect with the right people, the more that sort of network grows. Yeah. So those are the major challenges. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, and it's interesting to see the difference between the music scenes here and across the world because every place is different. And I've talked to artists from different parts of the world, but I've never talked to someone from South Africa. So, what is the music scene there? I know you mentioned that there's only very few that have made it an actual career and eventually made it there. But what's the music scene like there and around that area that you live in?
Yeah, I mean, I think my perspective might be a bit polarized given my style and genre and everything. But in terms of the music scene here, the guys that really make money are like I don't know if you know about our local language called Afrikaans. And there's a huge Afrikaans, it's like a Dutch origin group of people in our country, and that industry is huge. And they make a lot of money, but it's kind of like the really poppy kind of industry that
Yeah,
I don't enjoy, and that's how you make money in South Africa, you know. So the rock bands and the folk artists, we don't all do very well here, but and so we're a very tight community. We kind of help each other out with gigs and things like that. I mean, you can get by. I think if I moved to Cape Town, I could make a little career of it. But I think the real answer, and I don't know if you've heard of a guy named Matthew Mole. He's also from Cape Town, South Africa, and he's killed it online. I mean, he's made record sales on iTunes, and I think most of that was online media and marketing. So it can be done. It's just hard work.
gotcha. It's great to hear. So in regards to your songs, do you have what's your inspiration? I know that you talked about the album was you with your past hardships and stuff, but for each like different songs, when you're in the process of writing them, what's the thought process behind it, and how do you and does your environment come impact with that?
Yeah, I mean, my passion really is for the songwriting. I enjoy singing, but my real passion is the songwriting, and I think I focus on writing what I know and what immediately comes to me. Sometimes, and actually all the time, it's the most obvious things that make the greatest songs. You know, recently I sat down, I was watching a YouTube clip, and the guy said a line about we're all skeletons after all. And so I sat down and wrote a song about the like YouTube fame phenomenon, and turned out to be one of my better songs for the new album. You know? So I try to stick to what's just happening around me and just focused on what's interesting about that and put it into words and music. Sometimes it goes quickly, sometimes it takes a long time to write, but yeah, that for me is the main focus for writing songs.
Hmm. And what was I know we're talking about your album, actually making it and recording it. You talked about some of the hardships between, it not sounding that great, but what was the process like for you? Was there a moment where you felt like this was an awesome thing that you were doing, or it was something that was really difficult, or just through that album, what were you thinking throughout that
Yeah.
process?
Well, it's interesting you asked that because it was really the songs brought me from one place in my life to the next. Like it moved me on. Like the first song on the album is called Better Years, and so the songs really kind of psychologically and emotionally moved me forward enough. So the whole album is very meaningful to me. You know, every song kind of just pushed me forward and got me out of that sort of slump. And yeah, so I really think that album and everything that I went through has put me now into this next phase, and the new album will show that, you know, more upbeat, more happy, you know. So yeah, that's definitely something that did happen through that process.
Awesome. So also going back to I know we keep talking about your album, but we'll talk about your next album that's coming out as well. But um, oh boy, I seem to have forgotten my question. Huh. Okay. We'll go ahead and talk. So your new album that's coming out, how are you doing on that? What's your status update for as of when it's
Yeah.
saying?
Well, I'm calling it Truth in Air. It's just sort of a train spotting lyric in one of the songs. It's called Truth in Air, and focusing on a few things, but a lot of the songs talk about like pop culture and how people are just getting famous quickly and how superficial the world is. So, I mean, there is definitely a depth to it still, but I think the songs themselves are more accessible, which I'm quite excited about. You know, it's not a pop album by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely more accessible to people. which I feel that this current album has got a very sort of niche market. There's only a specific group of people who enjoy it, you know. So I think the new one's going to be a bit more
Awesome.
open. Yeah.
That's great to hear. Actually, I just remembered the question that I had about the last album, but you talked about this having, having it help you through that hard time. Is that something that you hope that, even though it is, like you said, I don't think it's for it's too small of a market. I think anyone can listen to it because it's all music, because it sounds great. So, but was there a message behind it that you wanted to communicate to people? And is that message something, we talk about music from different worlds and the environments, but all together we're all still humans and we have the same emotions for most of the time. So was it meant to be like that global human perspective, kind of a, human emotion message, or, which is what your message was? I know I'm just rambling on here now.
Yeah, no, well, it's funny because you seem to be capturing really the heart of it. Like, the album led me to the new songs that I'm writing, and like I mentioned, that song "We're All Skeletons After All," and kind of it brought me to that perspective of, we're all in this together. Like the whole sort of global culture that's developing, that's all very like something quite important to me. And the album, I think, was trying to communicate that, trying to say, at the end of the day, we all go through crap in life, and we're all there to help each other through it. Yeah, that really was the heart of it at the end of the day, like just and I mean, I got a comment on my blog today about someone who I posted a YouTube vlog of my song Better Years, which was about me losing my dad and moving forward. And a guy posted saying, I went through exactly the same thing. I know you're feeling it's really hard, but I'm moving forward. So for me, that's what it's all about, especially that album. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So what can we expect from you coming? I know you have a new album, but within this year and within like the next few months, what do we? I know just today or earlier today, well, your time today. I'm still, the day is still starting for me. But early this morning, you posted a Valentine's song that was written in acoustic. That also sounds great, even though Valentine's Day is not cool for me. But anyway, so what do you have going forward within the next 2 months, or the next year? How does this year look for you?
Um, well, firstly, finish the album. I think my sort of skill in getting that album is getting better, but also I'm collaborating with a lot of guys. So just from my community, getting someone with a cello to play. So getting all those things in place, getting that album done. I want to play in and around South Africa, especially in Cape Town. And I think the main thing really, and I know I keep saying this, but the main thing really is just to market myself online. I'd love to just spend a week in the States, and play to the people that enjoy my music. There is a challenge there because being online, your fans end up being everywhere. But yeah, that's my focus right now, to build my network and get my music out there. And touring is part of that, but the expense is high for doing that. So I'll focus on the cities here in South Africa and see where it goes from there.
Awesome. So have you thought about like live shows online like this, doing a show online for anyone to access? Something I know this is becoming a lot more popular is the live streaming thing where shows are being streamed like that. But is that something you're considering doing in the future or this year?
Yeah, well, just doing this hangout with you, I've never used it. It's not very popular in South Africa, and I thought it's a great idea. I saw someone else using Hangouts as a live show. But the challenge is, at the moment, most of my fans are in South Africa, and not everyone has very fast internet. So to get everyone to watch me online is probably not very feasible. But as my audience grows outside South Africa, which it is, I think that's going to become a viable option. So, I mean, if you're asking what I'm going to do by the end of the year, probably something like that. Because I'm planning. This is something also I'm planning this year is a home gig. Like just put some candles around my lounge. I've got a nice sort of like cathedral style lounge. Play a gig there with some friends. People just drinking wine and film it and put it online. So maybe that's an option. Put it on a Hangout and people can watch. And someone can sit there and reply to comments and questions and stuff. So, no, maybe it's an option.
Awesome, that's great to hear, and I hope that's something I get to listen to because I know traveling isn't feasible for me either. But I hope that I get to hear you live. But for now, I get to listen to your album. For those of you guys that haven't checked out his album, please go do it. It's links for it will be in the description below, and it'll also be with his social media links and all this other stuff. And if you haven't already, go watch his music video that he just posted, the acoustic for this for Valentine's Day, because it is quite amazing. Before we sign off here, and what is one interesting thing that most people don't know about you that you can tell us?
Yeah, I try to think of something interesting, um, and this is kind of embarrassing, but in middle school I was Mr. Personality. I won the Mr. Personality show by singing "Everybody Hurts" with my friend Ramsey. So we sat and he was a runner-up and I won. So whatever. If you think I've got a great personality, yeah. So that's something interesting that people almost no one knows about me.
Awesome, that's good. It's quite interesting, actually. So thank you again for joining us. I know you've got a full day ahead of you. I've got a full day ahead of me. Thank you for taking the time out and talking to us about your music. And I hope you do very well because I love your music and I love the sound that you have, and it's very interesting to hear music from different parts of the world. So, um, thank you again for joining us. I hope to talk to you soon again, and we shall. Do you have anything else that you'd like to say before we sign off here?
Oh, just thank you so much. You know, it's been great just to talk to someone on the other side of the world, and yeah, everyone just check out my website. It's www.adinwalls.com. Everything is there. You can contact me and watch the latest YouTube clip.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us. Thank you all for watching. The post will be up on Way Too Indie soon. I know we've had a couple of posts that I promised last time, but I haven't been able to get to them yet. But they will be up there soon. And again, go check out his music. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I can't keep saying it's amazing enough because it is awesome. Thank you again for everyone for joining us for Way Too Indie. This has been Manjot Jawa. Have a great day.
Yes. I'm a songwriter, singer-songwriter. I play gigs here, yeah, I market myself mostly online because of my sort of remoteness around the world. And I have a recent album that's on CD and on iTunes that the guys can check out, and I have a website. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. So, in talking about your latest CD that you have out and your album, what was it like working with that? And actually, let's back up here. Before we get to your album, what did you get your start in?
Um, I sorry, what was the question again?
Do you play many instruments?
I play guitar. I don't. I think my main sort of skill is singing and songwriting. So no, I don't really. I play a little bit of violin, but I would consider myself a novice in that area.
Awesome. So about now, let's go to your album that was it's on iTunes and it's also available.
Songs on the violin, which kind of didn't work. But singing songs to a violin. So yeah, that's always been me. And my dad was a tenor. My mom sang in a choir. With my sister and I used to sing songs, washing dishes. So yeah, it's always been in me and in us as a family.
Awesome. So do you play many instruments?
I seem to have lost visual there, but can you still hear me?
Yes, I can. It's just it loses out sometimes, so we're all good. Howdy, I'm Manjot Jawa with Way Too Indie. I'm here with Adin Walls. He's live from South Africa. Now, I want you to believe this. This is the power of the internet, and it's amazing because I get to talk to people from all across the world, and these are great musicians. So, Adin, thank you for joining us. It's a great pleasure to have you here. Can you go ahead and please introduce yourself a little bit and tell us how you're doing?
Cool. Well, my name is Adin Walls. I live in a little town called George in South Africa.
Music. How did you get inspired to write music and start writing music? Was it something you did from an early age, or?
Yeah. Well, I come from a musical family. I actually found out this week that almost everyone on my dad's side of the family sings. So I come from a musical family. I played violin as a little boy, and then picked up guitar at 16 and just went from once I picked up a guitar, it was like madness from there. So I've always been a songwriter. I mean, I remember picking up a violin and trying to write